So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, Text 44. Kamesha Prabhu, would you like to start?
Yes, Prabhu. Text 44. Nahi Bhagavan agatitam yidam tvad-darshanan nunam akila papa kshayaha yannama sakshir chavannata pukshasopi vimuchyate samsarat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. My Lord, it is not impossible for one to be immediately freed from all material contamination by seeing you. Not to speak of seeing you personally, merely by hearing the holy name of your Lordship only once, even Chandalas, men of the lowest class, are freed from all material contamination. Under these circumstances, who will not be freed from material contamination simply by seeing you? Purport. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.5.16, Yanama Sruti Matrena Puman Bhavati Nirmalaha. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately purified. Therefore, in this age of Kali, when all people are very contaminated, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended as the only means of improvement. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, 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 Katir Anyadha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Growth Naradiya Purana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this chanting of the holy name 500 years ago, and now through the Krishna consciousness movement, the Hare Krishna movement, we are actually seeing that men who are considered to be belong to the lowest class are being delivered from all sinful activities. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, samsara, material existence is a result of sinful actions. Everyone in this material world is condemned. As there are different grades of prisoners, there are different grades of men. All of them, in all statuses of life, are suffering. To stop the suffering of material existence, one must take to the Hare Krishna movement of Sankirtana or Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious life. Herein it is said, Yan Nama Shakshur Chravanti Sakshur Shravananath. The holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so powerful that if once had without offenses, it can purify the lowest of men. Kirata, Hunandara, Pulinda, Pulakashaha. Such men who are called Chandalas are less than Sudras. But they also can be purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, not to speak of personally seeing the Lord. From our present position, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be personally seen as the deity in the temple. The deity of the Lord is not different from the Supreme Lord. Because we cannot see the Supreme Lord with our present blunt eyes, the Lord has kindly consented to come before us in a form we can see. Therefore, the deity in the temple should not be considered material. By offering food to the deity and by decorating and serving the deity, one gets the same result that one derives from serving the Lord personally in Vaikuntha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthapitale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Sunati Paschatya Sthane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Yeah, in this verse actually he's praying, King Chitraketu is praying to the Lord about his glories and the glories of his name. As mentioned in the purport by Prabhupada, Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Namaiva Kavalam Kalau Nasteva Nasteva Gatiranyaka. Actually, the highest Mahamantra in this Kali Yuga is Kali Eternal Shakti has been given that Hare Krishna mantra is the best mantra. This is given when Narada asked Brahma says this. This is the Shastric evidence also. And one example always gives Prabhupada. When we are saying any material things, like for example, if you say water will not come until you take water and drink it. You don't get satisfaction of your thirst. You don't get rid of your thirst. But here, if you call the name is the same as the person here. That is the beauty of this Mahamantra. So the name, when we are chanting the names of the Lord, it personally it's nothing but Kali Yuga Hare Krishna Kali Yuga Avatara is Krishna's Avatara is Nama. So Krishna came in this Kali Yuga as the name. His name itself is, we can be considered as Krishna's Avatar. So that is the analogy many times it has been given. So name is nothing but Krishna himself. And also the importance of Archavigraha, he mentions that deity is non-different from Krishna. So we need not feel that whether we are seeing Krishna or not, every day we are having the resemblance, we are personally seeing him. So this is a beautiful purport has been given. But others also can add here, because we can talk so many hours about this particular the importance of Nam and deity worship. So you also can add others now.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Does anybody else want to add anything to this wonderful verse and purport? So in this particular verse, the importance of even just hearing the holy name once and even taking darshan of the Lord once is glorified here. The benefit of doing that even the lowest of men are freed from the material contamination. So the Lord is extremely merciful. So the merciful nature of the Lord appears even in this particular month of the Purushottam month. So very briefly, I will talk a little bit about this, the auspiciousness of this month, very briefly in like a few minutes. So so there are two calendars, the moon calendar and the sun calendar. In the moon calendar, 1 month is equal to about 29.5 days. And in the sun calendar, it is about 30 to 31 days. So what happens is every 3 years, there is a gap of about 30 days, which needs to happen to reset the 2 months, the moon calendar and the sun calendar. And that happens in this extra month called Adhik Mas. In this Adhik Mas, typically, there are no weddings that can happen or any other auspicious events that can happen. So the presiding deity of this month, she was called the Moola Mas, or it's the inauspicious month. So she went to Lord Vishnu and she said, I'm feeling very dejected, depressed, that this month is considered very inauspicious There are no major events happening in this month. Nothing good is happening in this month. So I feel that everybody is condemning me, So there's nothing happening in this month. So what can I do? I want to get some blessings and some mercy from you. So Lord Vishnu, what he does is he takes her to Golok Vrindavan. So this is one of the pastimes where Vishnu meets Krishna, actually. So it's very interesting. So he takes this Mulmas, the Devi, to meet Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna says, why are you looking very sad? Why are you looking very dejected? So at that time, she explains her situation, her predicament, and she says that there is nothing auspicious happening in this month, and there is no benefit. So I'm feeling very dejected. So at that time, Krishna says, now that you're in Golok Vrindavan, anybody who comes here, all their anxieties should immediately be vanquished. So immediately from this month, you will not be called as Moolamas or Adhikmas. You will be called as Purushottam Mas. Purushottam, I'm going to give you my own name to this particular month. So then she becomes very happy. But then he also says that not only that, so any good activity that anyone does will be magnified by 1 crore times in this month. So for example, if you get up during Brahma Muhurta and chant your rounds, it is said that you will get immense benefit of chanting 1 crore names of Krishna immediately. And also the other thing that is focused on, which is also in this verse about the hearing of the holy name. So if we do that more, then we will get immense benefit in this particular month. For example, even reading Bhagavatam like how we are doing in this month gives us immense benefit. Reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, we just read with at our home. We all read chapter 15. We recited the Chaurashtakam. We offered Diya to our deities. So simple things like if we do with bhakti in our heart, then all auspiciousness is guaranteed. It's almost like getting 1 crore times the benefit. Of course, as devotees, we are not expecting that benefit. We are doing it just out of love for Krishna. This question always comes. So there all these things are mentioned. So should we do this in the mood that we are going to get so many benefits? So that is not at all our mood. We do it because we love Krishna, and this is just a bahana. This is just an excuse. This month is just an excuse for us to increase our devotion towards Krishna. So in this verse, the merciful nature of the Lord is described. So similarly in this pastime that I just recited, the merciful nature of the Lord in giving anyone who turns towards him, that Moolamas, when she turned towards the Lord, he gave immense mercy on that person. So if we turn towards the Lord in this month, then we will also get immense benefit. So I wanted to share that. And we can continue. I'll talk more about the do's and don'ts of this month as well. So the next verse, anybody wants to read?
Am I audible?
Yes, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Are you back?
So we are in Divya's kitchen. We came here for dinner. We just came before a while ago.
Okay.
So I don't know if Kameshwar Prabhu mentioned me, but I didn't hear that. So I'm sorry for that. If he mentioned me, I don't remember now. Couldn't hear well when I just logged in. But can you scroll down, Prabhuji, 1 minute? Is the purport too big?
No, Prabhu, but I don't want you to, I know you're having dinner, so I don't want you to extend yourself, but
No,
yeah.
It's okay. I'll not read the Sanskrit, but I'll read the translation and purport.
Okay.
So, translation. Therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activity. Okay, I don't think this is going to work.
No, Prabhu, that's okay.
Sorry.
Don't worry, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I mean, so someone else can read it. Nitya can read it. Can you read?
Yes. अत भगवान् वयम् आधुना तद् अवलोक परिमृष्टास्तस्य Malaha surar shinayat katitam tavakena katam anyata bhavati. Translation: Therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and their results of material attachment and lusty desires, which always filled my heart and core of my heart. Whatever is predicted by the great sage Narada Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narada Muni. Purport. This is the process of the perfect way. One must take lessons from authorities like Narada, Vyasa, and Asita and follow their principles. Then one will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead even with one's own eyes. One only needs training. Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grahyam Indriyai. With our blunt eyes and other senses, we cannot perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, according to the instructions of the authorities, it will be possible to see him. As soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are certainly vanquished. So, as Kameshwar Prabhuji nicely mentioned about the importance of the holy name and the darshan of the deities, it is here continued that that having seen the form of the Lord, here it's very nice that that he did not forget to glorify his through whom he was able to have this darshan. So so Chitraketu is glorifying Narada Muni because of being trained by him in many ways. In the beginning by Angira Muni and then later on by Narada Muni. He did not forget to offer the respect and honor and gratitude towards the spiritual master. Almost like Narada Muni is like a spiritual master in this case, who showed him the way to obtain the vision of the Lord. So so in the purport also Prabhupada mentions that with our blunt eyes and our senses we cannot perceive the God, but if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord according to the instruction of the authorities, which is like according the authorities as in our Siksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus, it will be possible to see him. And the rules laid out by the parampara, the acharyas in the parampara, one sees the personality of Godhead, and all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are certainly vanquished. So just reading the Chaurashtakam today, in every single verse it's mentioned about how just Bilwamangala Thakur is praying to come and steal all the sinful reactions of that has accrued from many thousands and thousands of lifetimes in the past, to just come and steal away, so that so that we can reside with Krishna, because Krishna is the biggest thief. If there are thieves, then Krishna is like the biggest thief. So why not have him steal all the sinful reactions also, so that we can cleanse our heart, and once our heart is cleansed of all these anarthas and the sins, then we can invite the Lord in the core of our heart and worship him, and that way we can hear what our super soul residing in our heart as Paramatma is giving us, like hear the instructions of the super soul. So now with all the anarthas, the mirror of the heart is all filled with dust. Once we cleanse it, by engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord. And this particular month, we were given so many, the WhatsApp messages kept coming about what are the things to do in this month. It's almost like Damodarashtakam on the month of Kartik, where we recite the Damodarashtakam and then we do our penances and austerities. So similar to that, this happens once in 3 years, but the benefit is 3 times of that of the, that of the Damodar month. So, the reason is that so that we don't use our senses in anything but in the service of Krishna. So when we see, we see, even in that 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he's in the moon. So when we see the moon, and the reason for the existence of juices and the vegetables and the fruits is because he's present as the, is the source of the moon also. So when we see that, we can appreciate the moon, and when we see the vegetables and the fruits, we can also appreciate how the juices are there. So in every way, we can actually attach what we see, what we taste, what we smell, and using all the 5 senses to appreciate and be grateful for the presence of the Lord's energy in everything, and how Lord Krishna is the source of everything. Yeah, so that's what I have in my mind.
Okay, thank you. I mean, you covered everything very nicely. Anyone else wants to say anything about the importance of seeing the Lord? So here, so basically the Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. And so it's so interesting because the 2 examples, so Maharaj Parikshit and Narad Muni, who we are talked about in this verse, both had the benefit of seeing the Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj saw the Lord in the womb, and Narad Muni saw the Lord when he was meditating. And then immediately in both cases, in the case of Parikshit Maharaj, the Lord vanished. And in the case of Narad Muni also, the Lord vanished from his darshan. And in the case of Narad Muni, it was told that you will not see me again in this lifetime, but then you will take a divine form after this lifetime. So similarly, both Parikshit Maharaj and Narad Muni, Parikshit Maharaj is listening, and Narad Muni is actually predicted this particular thing to Chitraketu Maharaj. So simply by seeing the Lord, you're wiped away of all the contamination of sinful activities and the results of material attachment and lusty desires. And as Nitya was mentioning, in the Chaurashtakam, the 3rd line of the 1st verse itself, Aneka Janmarjita Papa Chauram, Aneka Janmarjita Papa Chauram. So millions and millions of lifetimes of sins that have been accumulated is stolen by Krishna if we are sincere and if we just see Krishna. Here it is even more simpler. It is said that even if you just see Krishna, it is everything, all his sinful activities are driven away. How much more merciful can the Lord be? Just by looking at him, just by doing some devotional service, the Lord just removes everything away, all the sinful actions. So I was just, as I was mentioning today in the Bhagavad Gita discussion in the morning, so it is mentioned that all that we have to do, the Lord is so merciful that even if we just turn towards him and just have a desire to serve him, and if we know that he is our supreme goal, and that's enough. That starts our path back home, back to Godhead, starts our journey back home, back to Godhead. No doubt it will happen. because we have all turned towards Krishna, it will happen. That's it. That's all we have to do. And that is what is being the theme also in the verses that we read, and the verse here is that simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities. So I'll stop here. If anybody else wants to say anything, we can. Otherwise, we can read text 46. Anybody would like to read 46? Kameshwar Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Vididam ananta samastam tava jagad atmano janairihari charitam vijnanapyam paramaguro kiyadiva savituriva kayadyotahi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. O unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever a living entity does in this material world is well known to you, because you are the Supreme Soul, you are the Super Soul. In the presence of the sun, there is nothing to be revealed by the light of a glowworm. Similarly, because you know everything in your presence, there is nothing for me to make known. So still there is no purport for this. Still prayers are continuing, prayers of Chitraketu, and he is praying, praising Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, he knows everything. Krishna says that you don't know about your previous life and all, but I know your future, past and present. So he is the super soul. He is living along with every living entity. So he knows everything, the whole history of his previous lives and all. So now he is Chitraketu is praising. So, oh unlimited personality of Godhead, whatever a living entity does in this material world is well known to you, because you are the super soul. And in the presence of sun, so the analogy here, metaphor, he is using the comparison, the sun and a glowworm. So in presence of the sun, there is nothing to be revealed by the light of a glowworm. So glowworm or any other light, any other source of light is insignificant in presence of the sun. So like that, all the Jivatmas are like glowworms, but Krishna is like sun. So this is the way in which Chitraketu is praising the Lord. So as he is present as super soul in every living entity, so he knows our bhavas. So he is bhavagrahi. So whatever we think, so even though we go to temple and all, if our mind is somewhere else, Krishna knows that. So whatever we are doing, bhava, he knows the bhava. He gets our essence of mind, in what way we are showing tendency. In the same way, he wants to fulfill that. So he is not like a spy and he wants to punish whenever you do a mistake, like policing and all. He is not policing. He wants to be with us and he wants to fulfill our desires. That's only because of his causeless mercy. He is very, very kind and also very compassionate towards his children, all of his children. Some children are mischievous, some are good, some are like, so whoever it is, like parents always loves their children. The same way, sitting in along with in the heart of all the living entities, he wants to fulfill their desire in whatever they want. Even they want to argue against against Krishna and being atheists, that also he helps them. So the same way, like father or mother what way she wants to fulfill, he or she wants to fulfill the desires of their children. In the same way, he fulfills. So he knows the journey of every living entity, where it started, in what way it is going. And if we have little desire to go towards Krishna, immediately he fulfills that also. So that is the greatness of Krishna's love. Now others can add for this text.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anybody else wants to add anything? Okay, let's move on. Maybe anybody can read this next one. Nitya, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Sakala Jagat Sthiti Layo Dayeshaya Shaya Duravasitatmagataye Kuyoginam Vida Paramahamsayaha. Translation, my dear Lord, you are the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this cosmic manifestation. But persons who are too materialistic and who always see separatedness do not have eyes with which to see you. They cannot understand your real position, and therefore they conclude that the cosmic manifestation is independent of your opulence. My Lord, you are the supreme pure, and you are full in all six opulences. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Atheistic men think that the cosmic manifestation has come about by chance, by a combination of matter, without reference to God. Materialistic so-called chemists and atheist philosophers always try to avoid even the name of God in relation to the cosmic manifestation. For them, God's creation is impossible to understand because they are too materialistic. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Paramahamsa, or the Supreme Pure, whereas those who are sinful, being very attached to material sense enjoyment and therefore engaging in material activities like asses, or the lowest of men. All their so-called scientific knowledge is null and void because of their atheistic temperament. Thus, they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can you just go back to the translation? Yeah. So here the Lord is talking about how persons who are too materialistic and who always see separatedness. Here, separatedness means that that whatever they see in this world, they see and enjoy is different from the Lord. So the Lord has got nothing to do with it. This is like enjoying in separately from the Lord. So that is the enjoyment, the reason why the materialistic people think, in some cases even in many cases even I have seen that even I do that. I think that I am the supreme controller or at least the controller, not the supreme controller, and I take charge of the situation, and sometimes I even forget to pray and think that okay, this I can do this, I can solve this problem myself, I don't need anybody's help. That is also in a way it being materialistic, because we think that we can be separated, things can be separated out. I think this separatedness, the word is very significant here, I feel, is that because the moment we feel that separation, it's not the separation of the pain of separation that Radharani feels, it's the separatedness about all these things that we see has got nothing to do with Krishna. or nothing to do with the Lord. So when we go to church or temple or mosque or in any such holy places, then we can get connected to the Lord. But once we come out of it, Monday through Saturday, it's got nothing to do with God, and we go about enjoying the material life. We go about working and like Prabhupada uses the word ass, working and enjoying like asses, and just thinking that this is it, this is God, this is all I have to do, year after year after year after year, until we finally reach our old age, until we cannot do it anymore. Then we feel helpless, and then even when we try to think about God, our own old age and the helplessness catches up, and we are not able to do successfully reach out or realize God at that time. So that separatedness is what, even as devotees, we should be cautious about. That yes, it's okay to feel that we can solve this problem, but after solving it, of course, when we are in that mood, on a roll to solve the problem or to fix a situation or to execute a work, we cannot think about God and then do the work. It's not possible, because we need an active mind to solve or to fix a problem or to execute a work. But after that, we can say that thank you for giving me the intelligence to solve the problem, or intelligence to do the work or execute this work in an efficient way. We can always throw that thing, so that we don't take the credit for what we did. I guess that to me always comes as a reactive measure, not as a proactive. Like, I don't think proactively before doing anything that Krishna, please give me the thing. Of course, I do it for like a major endeavors, but then day-to-day stuff, I just get to it, I do it, and then I react back. So that separatedness, as long as we don't think that we are the controller, we are the enjoyer, that material sense enjoyment happens because we think that we have the right to enjoy whatever we see in this material world, and we have the right to control whoever we want. So that separatedness is what we should be very cautious about. Although Prabhupada talks about this in terms of materialistic people, I guess because we're all devotees or aspiring devotees, we can take that as a takeaway to gauge where we are at in terms of that separatedness that Krishna is talking about. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So wonderful. Yeah, very nicely you covered that even though Prabhupada is talking about materialists, it is a thing for us also, that we are also, if we forget Krishna in our lives, then we can also become like that, like asses, So, so there are two things here. There's Arup Siddha Bhakti and Swarup Siddha Bhakti. So Arup Siddha Bhakti is before doing any activity, we just do it for Krishna. We just say in our mind that Krishna, I'm doing this for you. So the training our mind like that for a period of time will help us understand how to carry out any activity in our lives by offering that activity to Krishna. So that is the understanding. So Arup Siddha Bhakti is where we, before doing any activity, like before going to work, before sitting on the bus, we just say, this activity I'm doing it for Krishna, this activity I'm doing for Krishna, this activity I'm doing for Krishna. Then that trains your mind, number one, and it makes anything that you do as an offering to Krishna. So our Acharya has explained that that is one way of doing this continuously, always doing any activity thinking of Krishna. It's like how before eating prasad, we think of Krishna. Similarly, doing any activity, we should think of Krishna. So that makes the activity immediately purified. So, and this is the last verse we'll read for today, text 48, and then we'll stop. This is the last verse in the prayers of Chitraketu Maharaj, and then the Lord starts speaking. So it's a different section. So from 49, we'll continue next week. But today we'll finish with this particular verse. There's no purport, so you can finish Kamasha Prabhu.
I think this goes in the meter of Chintamani.
Yam Vais Avastha Anvishwas. So what is the tune, Mataji?
That
Yam.
Chintamani Prakarasatma Sukalpa Vriksha Yam Vai Swasantam Anuvishwasraja Swasanti Yam Chekitanam Anuchittaya Uchakanti.
Bhumandalam Sarsapa.
Yes.
Sarsapayanti Yasyamuthini Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Astu Sahasramurthane Yam Vai Swasantam Anvisvas Rujas Asvasanti Yam che Kitanam Anuchittaya Uchakanti Bhumandalam Sarsapayanti Yasyamuthni Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Astu Sahasramurthane. Translation. My dear Lord, it is after you endeavor that Lord Brahma, Indra, and the other directors of the cosmic manifestation become occupied with their activities. It is after you perceive the material energy, my Lord, that the senses begin to perceive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard. I offer my respectful. Can you scroll up? I offer my respectable obeisances unto you, that Supreme Personality, who has thousands of hoods. So again, the prayer of Chitraketu is continuing. Yeah, he compares the number of universes as a full bag of mustard seeds. So we can imagine mustard seed, how small it is. And if you consider the full bag of mustard seeds, so he's having that bag on his head, like so many universes are there in his in this material manifestation. Supreme Personality of Godhead holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard. So if you imagine a big bag of mustard seeds, and all the mustard seeds, each mustard seed is an universe created in this material world. So he's having so many universes on his head, and he's offering his obeisances, who has thousands of hoods. So thousands of hoods and millions of universes he's holding, and he's maintaining, just not creating and leaving. He's maintaining and he's taking care of each universe, and inside the universe, each living entity is feeding each and every living entity, and he's taking care of each and every and fulfilling their desires simultaneously. So that greatness is praising Chitraketu, and yeah, along with him, we also praise Supreme Personality of God, and just try to imagine, but it is achintya. We cannot perceive his greatness, but at least we need to appreciate and glorify his all these glories described by different devotees in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is the story of Bhagavatas. So you can see all how Bhagavatas are praising the Lord. So at least if we recite it, we are joining their prayers. So even though we are not able to, at least I don't know the poetry and all, I cannot even make any poetry for Lord. At least we can follow what are the verses given by the Bhagavatas. So That is that's what I can add here for this verse. So others also now contribute your glorification to Lord.
Thank you so much, Kameshwar Prabhu. I know you have to go now. Anybody else if wants to say anything on this verse?
Yeah, just very significant that how it says that Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead, holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard. I'm just picturizing, and I'm just thinking how incredible that is, and how insignificant we are. Also, it's in that mustard, inside that mustard seed is our whole universe, and inside that we are in the Earth planet is there, and inside that, like the continents, if we see, and inside the continent, the countries and the states, and it's like it's minuscule. It reminds me of that movie. What was that movie? It's the
PK.
no, that animation movie where the elephant will hold the universe
Oh yeah.
on a speck of a dust or something.
Yes.
That it reminds me of that movie. I forgot what that name is, but yeah, it's yeah, and we think that we we are all like our problems, our life is so bigger than the world sometimes. Yeah.
The movie is Heart and Hears a Who.
Heart and Hears a Who. Yeah.
On that note, I think we can end here. If nobody else has anything to say, then we can end here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Happy Purushottam Mass, everyone. Take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.